Hi guys, welcome to your second Java game development tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how to handle key presses that the user inputs. So first of all we're going to need to create a class to handle our key events. Now what JFrame has it has a built-in method called addKeyListener, and it automatically adds a class that you create to handle the key events. So we're going to create that class first of all, and it's going to be called public class AL for action listener, and it's not going to take no parameters there, and it's going to extend the key adapter, which we need to import. And now there are built-in methods in Java called key released and key pressed. There's also key typed, but we won't be using that at the moment. So key pressed, and it needs one parameter, which is a key event, which we'll name E, and we need to import that. And then public void key released key event E. Now what we need to do is we need to create a variable that will store the value of the button that the user pressed, and then we're going to make some if statements to see if the button the user pressed matches the one we want it to. So we're going to create int called keycode, and it's going to be equal to E, which is the key event which is happening, which is automatically called when the user presses a key, e.getKeyCode. So whenever the user presses a key, this is automatically called, and it stores the value of the button they pressed in the keycode integer. So now we need to make some if statements to see what key the user pressed. So we're going to make a ball. We want to make a ball move across the screen. So I didn't show you in the last tutorial, but in the paint method I've added this method called repaint, and that automatically repaints the canvas of any objects on it. So we're going to say g.fill oval, and that creates a solid color oval, and we're going to need an X position for it, we're going to need a Y position for it, which will be updated depending on whether the user presses a key, and then we're going to make it 15 height and 15 width. Now we're going to create those variables up here, int x and y, but we're not going to initialize them yet because we're going to initialize them in the constructor, so they have a default location, x equals 150, y equals 150. Now what that's done is that when the new Java game is created, the oval automatically gets a position of x and y, which we've just set here. And the reason we're using variables is because when we enter key presses, we want the x and y to update, so we can move it. And we can actually start building something that's like a game. So in our key press method, we're now going to have an if statement saying if keycode, so if the button that the user presses is equal to, now Java has built-in variables already for all key presses, and we're going to say event.vk underscore, and now after vk underscore there's every single possible button on your keyboard that we are allowed to use. For now we're going to use the arrow keys, so I'm going to say vk left, and that's the left arrow key, and I'm just going to copy this for each of the arrow keys, and I'm going to change them to left, right, up, and up and down. Now let me explain what's happening. So every time a key is pressed, this method is automatically called, and we create an integer called keycode, which stores the value of the button that the user pressed. So if the key code is equal to the left button on the keyboard, i.e. if the user pressed the left button, we're going to want x to -1, because it's going to be moving left across the screen. For right, we want x to +1 because it's going to be moving right across the screen. For up, we want y to minus because in Java the x and y start at the top left-hand corner, so y going up would be minusing from the y-axis. And when we press down, we want to plus y. We don't need to handle key released yet. That's looking good. And now the last thing we need to do is in our Java game constructor, we need to declare a built-in method that is part of the JFrame called addKeyListener. AddKeyListener, and we're going to write new AL, which is the class we created here. Now this little class here handles our key events, and this creates it here. So now if we run our game, as you can see, we have our oval drawn in our screen, and now when I'm holding the buttons, the oval's moving, except you can notice the immediate mistake, which is it's kind of drawing a line rather than updating the position each time, and this is because of a thing called double buffering, which I will teach you in the next tutorial, but for now, just enjoy this weird paint snaky application thing. And you can experiment around with the if statements, for example, making it plus or equal more, like 5 pixels at a time, something like that. But yeah, the best thing to do, the best way of learning is to practice yourself. So I'll leave you with this, and remember to subscribe and follow my next tutorial for how to implement double buffering into your game. See you then.